Welcome to TriTech University. My name is Bill Steppen, and today we're going to continue our exploration on labeling your inventory, both for ease of your customers browsing your store, as well as point of sale and other processes. Last week, we explored the barcode labeling functions, and this week, we're going to take a look at the inventory hang tag features. Similar concept, but different types of media and different outputs. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to punch those into the questions box here in GoToWebinar. And as always, let's go ahead and jump over into my playground here. Find the option to share the screen as always, because it always seems to hide on me when I least expect it. So everyone should now be seeing my screen, and just like always, I'll turn off my webcam just so that way it maximizes the size of my monitor output. So like last week when we talked about the barcode labeling functions with the barcode labels, that is something that you can use with a label printer or even with a standard regular inkjet or laserjet to print out barcode and other types of inventory information on just usually little labels that you can peel and stick and put onto your products. But this week, what we're going to look at is a slightly different concept. We're going to look at what are called inventory hang tags. What is a hang tag? It's essentially something that typically, rather than just sticking to the product, you're either hanging it off of a product itself, like off of a guitar or off of a firearm or off of an appliance, or maybe you're stuffing it into like a laminated type display or just something to that effect. These can either be used simply for the purposes of advertising, or if you are in like an appliance store, you can also embed these with barcode information so that way it could have like the serial number in a barcode format for bringing up to the point of sale for the purposes of making a purchase. Now, the way these get set up is slightly different than the whole idea of a label. Instead of going into a menu option where you've got the barcode label set up, instead, this is all done via Word documents. So instead of going to the inventory module, we're going to go to the general maintenance area where we can take a look at what are called maintaining Word templates. You've probably heard me talk about Word templates in the past. This is the same idea. With a Word template, you set something up in a word processing program like Microsoft Word or OpenOffice or something to that effect. You outline how you want the output to look via the document, and then you come back and you attach it to AIM via this program here. You basically find the file name and then you give it some kind of generated code. There's one in there usually by default, and that's simply called the inventory hang tag Word template. This is pointing to a default template file. That's what the DT stands for in here, and then INV hang tag ... The most important thing here that defines that this is actually a hang tag is the auto-generated code of inventory hang tag. Now, when you set this up, you can also establish how many tags are on an individual sheet of paper. Now, what I have here is I've just got a couple of samples. This is well, let's pull up this other document here first, and let's just hide this momentarily. So this document here, this is that DT INV hang tag ... which is always fun to say. And what you'll see here is it looks like just a bunch of code. And that's basically what it is. All of these little blurbs that you see here are bits and pieces of what are called tokens or tags that then get replaced with information from AIM when you print a tag. The way this works is, let's pull that other document back up here. And this document, which is called the tag index.doc, not to be confused with .dot. By the way, both of these documents you can find on your server. Wherever AIM is installed, you would go to the AIM folder. There's going to be a templates subfolder in that, and that's where you'll find these documents. So there's going to be, in that tag index document, there's going to be a section specifically for inventory hang tags. It explains what these are and how tags work. And basically, if you want to pull in, for example, the description of a product, you simply copy and paste whatever the left-hand tag is, and then you put it wherever you want it to display in the document itself. And you've got all kinds of options here for descriptions, manufacturers, models. You can pull in price points. You can pull in pretty much anything that exists as a field of information from the inventory record. And there's all the way down into like even images and all kinds of fun things, as well as any of your custom attributes that you might have set up. So you can see how this says to replace the tag part with the tag value of the desired attribute found in setup attributes. And if you were in attendance, or if you've checked out that video when we talked about inventory attributes themselves, underneath your setup area in maintenance and inventory and setup attributes, each attribute can have a tag name. So you would just take this and then you would plug that into this part here. So in that case, that particular tag would have been SKU underscore ATTR underscore finish, if you kind of follow what we're talking about there. Now, what does this all mean? Basically, it means that on the file where you set this all up, the sky's the limit as far as your creativity is concerned, because what you can do is now you have full access to formatting and fonts and font sizes and bold font and italics and images. You can put in, your own custom graphics and store logos and whatever you want it to say. You basically just set up on the tag itself. If you want to have more than one tag per sheet of paper, because this is just a very straightforward tag, it's like one per sheet, but you could kind of take this and subdivide it into like, the four corners, if this would all fit onto one document in basically 4 templates, 4 corners. And then back in AIM, you would simply say that that particular setup, let's pull that back up here, would have 4 tags on that particular hang tag document. Now, what this also means is that you can set up multiple word templates. So let's go ahead and add another one here. I'm going to call this parts hang tag. And then the main thing here is I'm going to click to the find option, find the associated template. Let me just switch this over. So I'm looking at some of these older templates. I'm going to pull in this INV parts hang tag just for giggles. And then the main thing again is I'm going to make sure that this is set to be an inventory hang tag for the generated code. And then if there is more than one tag on here, I'll just set that up. Now that's just about the exact same thing as the other template, but I'll go ahead and save that. So now I have 2 inventory hang tag documents or templates. What do I do with those? I basically do kind of the same thing I did with the barcode labels. Now, you don't necessarily have to go with as much setup like we did with the barcode labels, where there's a style, and then you associate that with a printer, and then you associate the defaults with the inventory. We don't have to worry about that first part, because this is just going to go to whatever printer you sent it to. We'll see that in just a few moments. The main thing here is in your inventory subcategory setup, you can go to your respective categories, and whichever hang tag you want to use, you'll just make a selection here. So maybe for my band instruments, I want to use the INV hang tag inventory tag. I'll save that, and then I can, just like I did with the barcodes, I can right click and I can add that to every subcategory for this category, so that way that goes ahead and puts that right into all of these instruments. Maybe then for the accessories, I want to use the other hang tag. So I'll just go ahead and select the parts hang tag, do the same thing, and then I can right click and assign that to every subcategory for the accessories. And just like that, all my accessories are now using that parts hang tag. Anyway you slice it, basically as long as you've got a hang tag set up for the respective category, AIM will know what to do with it when you go to print them out. But you don't necessarily have to set this. I'll show you how you can override that here in just a minute. Once you've kind of formatted your tags, and you can get, like I said, super creative with your word processing documents, to generate those tags, you would go to the modules menu and into inventory, where you have the function specifically for printing hang tags. So when you come in here, you can then do a number of different things with this hang tags program. If you're just printing one tag, you can see up here at the top where it says enter individual SKU or serial to the tag list. And as you put that in, you'll see it basically gets added to the list. And then if there is a hang tag associated with its relative category, that'll get pulled in. In this case, you can see this is associating with the parts hang tag. Now you can do that one at a time through here. If you do a serialized SKU, you can see there's an option here where you can check mark where it says add all serial numbers when entering SKU. So if we're talking about a serialized SKU instead of an individual SKU, let's just pull up my inventory because offhand I don't recall all my SKUs that are in here. So this one here, this WSFL261S, this flute here. See how this is a serialized item that has 4 serial numbers associated with it, and there are the 4 serial numbers. So what I can do is I can check mark this, and then let's go ahead and pull that back in. When I make that selection here, you can see that instead of pulling in just that WS, et cetera, SKU, it's pulling in the individual serial numbers because that is what we would want on the tag. And you can see in this case, it's using the INV hang tag document because those are coming from my instruments categories. Now you can either do them individually or you can make selections by category and or subcategory and or manufacturer. And then when you click get items, that'll find all the items. You can also do this by purchase order based on any of these fields, date received or PO number, or again, category and or subcategory. And then finally, you can do this based on things that are on sale. So you can make a selection of the date and time when the sale is meant to occur. And then when you click get sale items, that would basically print one tag for each item that is discounted during that particular sale. Any way you slice it, when you come in and have your list out here, then you would then be able to click the print button. And then what that would do is that would output one tag for each item. So in this case, let's just go ahead, click print. I'm going to show this to the screen. And here's the first item, the RT14 valve oil. You can see if I pull that out of the way, it's pulling all that detail in from the first item. Then let's go ahead and do the next one. There's all the individual serials, so the stag flutes. And I don't have any specific setup in here for the serial number itself, but if I did, it would print out that way. So that's kind of basically how that works. Now, like I was saying, this honors font information. Now, if we go back and look at that tag index, there's nothing in here that is kind of specifically barcode. You can see as we kind of scroll through here, there's no like SAQ or SAD barcode. There is a SKU barcode here if you wanted to print specifically the barcode, but you'll notice if we try to do that, it says you must have font free 3 of 9 installed on each computer that prints tags. This font is available for download on the Account Passport, which is our old name for the member portal. So when you're setting up that document, if you want to have it print a barcode, let's just go ahead and grab that. We're going to copy that tag, and let's go ahead and hop into the DTINV hang tag ... Let's go ahead and add that SKU or that barcode right to the end here. So let's scroll back in and copy that in. But now if I were to just do that, let's go ahead and just save that and then hop back over here and let's just find one of those serial numbers again. We'll just do one serial here. So we'll go here and grab a serial and let's just pull in this first one here. You'll notice, and let's remember that 98675. You'll notice if I just click on print on this, let's print that to the screen. Actually, it is doing the barcode there. I was gonna say you had to actually change that. We must have updated that for version 12. But the whole point is that that will specifically create that barcode. Now, in order for that to work, you do need to have a font installed on your computer. So if we hop back over here, you no longer need to change this to the respective font, but you do need to make sure that you do have that font installed called Free 3 of 9. It is a special font. Again, it's available for download right off of our website. There's no charge for it, but that is a barcode font. So as long as you've got that installed, it will be able to print that SKU barcode. But that does get back to what I was talking about, where basically whatever you use in here for the font information, it will honor that on the output. So let's say we don't want that to be Arial. Let's say we want that to be that, what's that, that fancy script font? Script MT, is that it? Yep, there we go, Script MT. So you can see it kind of looks like that now. Let's just go ahead and save that really quick. And what was that barcode, or what was that serial number, 98675? So we'll make sure I hit the enter key when adding that. There we go. And we'll go ahead and print that. And we'll show that to the screen. And once again, now you can see it's got that fancy font for that output. So it's basically honoring whatever you have for the output. If you wanted to plop an image in there, by all means, you can do that. And then really it just boils down to making sure that whatever you have for the template itself, you set up in the Word templates area to have them all added in there, and then you make associations with their respective subcategories. If you wanted to use a different hang tag as an override for the given item, you can just click right into this area over here in the hang tag dropdown and just pick the respective hang tag from whatever ones you have set up. And if you put something in here that has no hang tag, this will be blank, and you'll just want to make sure that you go in and make a selection for those items. So let's just see if I have anything in here that isn't in one of those first handful of categories. I don't think so, but let's pull in, what is this? Looks like I was just kind of messing around with an item there. Okay, so yep, that was just some gobbledygook that I must have typed in during one of my past webinars. But in the event that that was blank, this would be blank. It would kind of look like this. And you'll notice if I try and hit print, well, it'll print the 98675. So there's that. But it won't print the other one, and that's because it doesn't know what hang tag to use. So you just want to make sure that you make a selection in that drop down. But that is the whole idea of hang tags. So it's not necessarily meant to completely replace your barcode labels, but it's a way to supplement them. And like I was saying, if you do have maybe larger items, like if you are an appliance store, or if you are a music store that specializes in, let's say, pianos and heavy keyboards and things like that, rather than having to have the customer remember which one it was that they wanted to purchase, you could just have a hang tag like that hanging off of the piano that the customer could then bring up to the sales counter. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility with those hang tags. There's not actually too much more that I can think of. There's no reports or anything like that that go along with that. But let's just kind of go back across those options here just to see if there are any specific things that we want to talk about. I guess there are technically two different barcodes. There's the SKU barcode. So in the case of that WS flute, this would be specifically the serialized SKU. This would be the serial number itself. So if you are setting up a tag that is meant to be specifically for your serial numbers, you'll just want to make sure that this is the tag that you plop into your code for that. You can see that there are some fields in here that are also doing calculations. So for example, this SAQ and SAS price difference fields, this will actually calculate the percentage off of retail based on our price. This is for the SKU, and this is for the individual serial record. So you're not limited to just individual fields within your inventory records. You can actually use some of these more specialized tags for having it display some extra details that just really aren't possible on the barcode labels themselves. You can also even have this generate QR codes. So this is available to have it do so that if you do have a QR code that links out to your e-commerce site where there's even more information and maybe additional images or fun stuff like that, you can have that print on the output. So definitely take your time and explore some of these tags and have some fun with those labels. In fact, I think it would be fun if you wanted to share some of the designs that you come up with over on our TriTech Facebook page or Twitter feeds or things like that. Definitely check those out. I don't know if we'll do any like contests or anything like that. We've done those kind of in the past just to have some fun, but I would be curious to see, because I know a lot of you guys are out there that are super creative with this type of stuff. So yeah, go ahead and if you got a great design and you like to share it, definitely do so over there on our TriTech Facebook page. Ellen is asking, is it possible to print hang tags to an Avery style template of stickers, or are they generally too large? That is an excellent question, Ellen. Usually the Avery template, like the Avery style labels are usually more like the barcode-esque type setup. Now that being said, I suppose it is possible that Avery or other label companies, maybe they already have a, a kind of a label format that is kind of like that 4 per page or 6 per page or things like that. So if there are label styles out there for that, by all means, you could definitely make use of that. So it's just all a matter of taking the template and dividing it up so that when it does print out, the printout would be confined to that setup. Now, I'm by no means a word expert. There are probably hundreds of YouTube videos out there that go way more into depth than I would, but I would wager if you do something like put like a table or something like that on here. So maybe you have like a 2x2 table or a 4x4 table. Come on, there. Let me draw that. Yeah, see, I don't even know how to do this apparently anymore. But but I'm sure if you did something like that and then had the table format where you could, copy and paste those tags into there, and then just copy and paste them once you've got it in one cell, put it into the other cells, kind of stuff like that. But that just all, really the Avery style template is just something that instead of having to cut it out using, scissors or a paper cutter, you could just peel them off. That's really the main difference when it comes down to it. So hopefully that helps out there, Ellen. Thank you so much for the question. Michael asks, will it print 1 tag per SKU or 1 tag per item? It will print basically 1 tag per item. So if we go back to that output program, let's take it back to the print hang tags. Basically, if you don't have this check marked here, this 1 tag per SKU, it will kind of default to however many you have in stock. You can kind of see if I actually do this here. Let's go ahead and add that RT14 back. I think I only have 1 of those in stock anyway, but you can kind of see here, there's a number of tags option here. So if you did want to override that for specific SKUs that you've added into here, you can definitely put in how many tags you want. So hopefully that helps out there, Michael. Thank you so much for the question. Trevor asks, can different descriptions be pulled in for multiple serial numbers, say if some are used versus new or some are consigned, etc., and have them be all on the same template? That is an excellent question, Trevor. Let's defer to our tag index here. And I would wager the main thing here that it can pull in is going to be just kind of the default description here. So this definitely is a description from the item itself. Now, that being said, because we're talking about larger media, usually full sheets of paper, what you may want to take advantage of is the ability to pull in notes. So if we look at an inventory item here, let's just hop into display and pull up my serial items here. So let's go to here and edit this. So the flutes in general, they are kind of what they are. But if we go to the serials tab, each individual serial has a spot for its own notes. So in this case, this is something that I bought new from my vendor. This is something that came in on consignment. This is a flute that I bought as a used purchase from a customer, and this last one was a trade-in. So what I could do is I could put in whatever notes I wanted, in this case for the consign item. Then the main thing would be is on the document template, I would just want to make sure that I've got something that pulls in the notes. In this case, this is the description notes, and then there would be a tag, I'm sure, specifically for the serial notes. So let's just take a look here. So if we scroll through here, there's the serial number, and SAS notes would be specifically the serial notes. So as long as you've got this tag somewhere on here, in fact, let's just go ahead and put that in here. Let's replace that with SAS notes. In fact, let's actually just kind of undo some of these changes that I'm doing here. Let's take that table out of there, put that in, save that document. Now with that updated, let's hop in here and let's say that for this first one, this is the new one, and we'll save that. This is the consigned flute, and save that. So basically, I'll just put in a couple of notes here. So then let's keep that in mind. I'll just kind of put this off to the, I guess I can't put that off to the side. So 92345 is the serial number. Let's save our changes and hop back over in here. Let's take this item out and put in 923, was that 75? No. Let's just actually do this. We'll just go back and pull them all back in here. So then just select, let's go straight to the serial. So 92345, that was the first one. Let's go ahead and just print that, and we should see the consigned notes on the output. There we go. This is the consigned flute. And then if I did that for the other one, the 98675, yep, there we go. And we'll print that. We should see this is the new, or whatever it was that I said. This is the new one. So getting back to your question, Trevor, because the descriptions, there's really just one description record per item, and that's just the overall SKU or model, if you want to think of it that way. So anything that you want to specifically detail on a given serial number, I would recommend putting that over here in the serial notes so that you can take advantage of that note output for the hang tags. So hopefully that makes sense. Definitely let me know if there's any additional questions on that. I don't think there's really any other way to do that, if I'm not mistaken. These are just category and subcategory descriptions. You can also technically do package deals with their descriptions and items and things like that. So yeah, I think when it comes down to it, you're going to want to do the note function there. So let me know if that helps out, or if there's any other questions regarding that, or if anyone else has any other questions. I'm more than happy to answer them if I can. In the meantime, take a swig of water here. This kind of wraps up what month are we in? We're in April. So yeah, this kind of wraps up our April webinars. And coming in the month of May, there are going to be 3 webinars. There's going to be one on this time Monday, May 10th. So normally would have been on the 11th, but I think I explained this in my last webinar. I had to just do a little bit of finagling with the schedule for the purposes of doing an on-site training. There will be one on the 10th. There will be one on Thursday, the 20th. And then there will be one on back to our normal Tuesday schedule, the 25th. I have yet to finalize exactly which webinars those will be, but as always, you'll be able to see those on our member portal, where you can register for those and get signed up to check those out. And if you don't get a chance to actually attend a webinar live, that same page is where you can go and check out the recording. And then if you've ever got any questions outside of these live sessions, you can always give our support team a call. If you'd like some one-on-one training with myself or any of our other senior support techs, we can make that happen as well. Those do get recorded, and you get links to those recordings afterwards. So that's a huge benefit of the online training options that we have for you. But I think that will conclude our session. I don't see any other questions coming in. So as always, I want to thank you so much for attending this week's webinar. We don't take that for granted. I do see one last question coming in here from, I'm going to probably slaughter it. Is it Devon or Devon? One of those two, maybe. Do you do on-site training in Canada? Normally, yes. However, just because of the craziness with the pandemic, we are limiting our training, our on-site training, just to I think it's just the 48 states. We might be doing Alaska and Hawaii, but for the time being, we are not doing any international travel. I hope to be able to say here in the next few months that that ban will be lifted. At least that's kind of our own internal ban. So hopefully I'll be able to say, yes, I'd love to come visit you in Canada. I have done so in the past. I've got a passport that's just itching to be used. So I'd be more than happy to come and visit you and train you and your staff when I am able to. But yeah, thank you so much for your attendance. And if you got any suggestions for future webinars, definitely let me know. You can shoot me an email to training@tritechretail.com. And you can always just give us a call too if you'd like to do that. More than happy to chat with you. I'd love to chat with you. And we'll stay in touch, and we'll see you next month for the upcoming episodes of TriTech University. Thanks so much. I hope you make it a great day. Stay safe and take care.